Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. So during an awakening, one of the major pieces to the puzzle that becomes crystal clear is that a lot of religions have a true piece to the puzzle. Yet, they are never meant to be pieced together in order to guarantee indefinite war. Darkness. Man-made religion creates constant conflict and division. It is not a Father Yahuah. Now, just a few examples of true puzzle pieces from different religions would include Muslims. They stay away from pork. Now, that command, even though it's not a commandment, has never been done away with. The quote-unquote Jewish religion has that one correct too. Now, for some reason, Christians, me included until my awakening, just doesn't think that applies anymore, since Jesus had died for our sins. Now, Christians know that the only way to the Father, the Most High, Father Yahuah, is through the Son of Man. They just follow the wrong one, as in the Son, S-U-N, Jesus, instead of the hidden Son, Yahushua ben David. Because Jesus is the one we are allowed to know about, unless you're awake. They not only know about Jesus, but his image is burned into all of our brains. So we know when he arrives, not realizing that the Antichrist comes before the true second coming. So most everyone will completely ignore Yahushua's clear and concise warning in Matthew 24, verse 26. Nobody knows what Yahushua looks like, and that's by the dark side's design. They keep him in total darkness and out of view for deception. Another religion that holds a piece of truth is Mormonism. Yes, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Joseph Smith was a Freemason. Indeed, he was. Evidently, he was a 32nd degree Freemason at that. But it still holds some truth. And a lot of the Mormon religion follows closely to Freemasonry. It's kind of like how Paul spoke some truth intertwined with copious amounts of lies, conflicting information of what Yahushua taught compared to his false doctrines. Anyway, Mormonism believes that Jesus and Lucifer were spirit brothers. Well, technically Jesus and Lucifer are one and the same being, but it's unknown because of the massive deception in the church. However, Yasha, the son of man's angelic name, and Haliel, Lucifer's angelic name, are brothers. Now that may sound odd to hear and even difficult for some of you to hear, but remember, we are allowed to know what the elite, as in Lucifer's minions, want us to know, and the rest remains in total darkness. I will tell you this though, you can guarantee that any religion that includes the false name of the Son, Jesus, in their title is anything but following Father Yahuah. Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a la Mormonism, Jesuits, Society of Jesus, those titles are hiding their religion in plain sight. And people still haven't caught on because of the generational indoctrination. Now listen to what Sherry had said a few years back on this very subject to give you a better understanding. The link will be included in the description.
Well, let me describe and paint a little story for you. The Father may have had Yahushua as his son. Lucifer was also his son at one time. Now, I knew him as Haliel. I know he had other angelic names. They were brothers. He was the prodigal son. And that's why one of the biggest parables of the Fathers was the story of the prodigal son. Because Lucifer was the prodigal son. He left the Father when he rebelled. Ask yourself, because over thousands of years, many thousands, tens of thousands of angels have fallen out of heaven. They've left heaven. They've come in a fallen state. So why does everybody that falls, why do they worship Lucifer? What gives him all the power and status to command ownership of this earth and this planet? And not just earth and the planet, but above, below, and on it. He has leadership. Why does he get it? Out of all these fallen, why does he get it? It's because of who he was. He was a great angel, a musician, but he was also a created son of God. He was one of God's sons, and he fell. And it's because of his power and status of who he was, of why he retains the status of what he has today. All the fallen follow him, because he has become the adversary of man, God, and man, of mankind and God. He has become the adversary. And it's because he was originally a direct son of God that attains him this status that everybody else has to worship him that falls. And then we have Yahushua, who is the Son of God and the Redeemer of mankind. See, the Father had created 14 children. 12 of them were girls, and 2 of them were boys. And I just talked to you about the boys, Haliel and Yasha. His name wasn't Yahushua because he wasn't a redeemer. Nobody needed a redeemer. We were in heaven. He was our brother. I called him Yasha when I was little. When I was there, I called him Yasha. And I loved him to death. I can remember being created as a small angel, I used to sit on his lap and just hug him all the time. It's one of the memories I have the most, is just sitting on his lap and hugging him. I loved him like no other. The Father talks about his begotten son, but what they don't talk about is his begotten daughters. He has 12 daughters. And with his family, it's like everyone was created in pairs. They were created in twos. You'll always see 6 pairs of the girls together. And they're a lot alike. Everybody has their own different abilities and gifts. But you'll see that when Yahushua came to earth and he paired the disciples up in twos. Because that's how heaven was. That's what it was like there, that he had just left. Now, there was 12 girls that were created directly for him, his daughters. The last 2 came to earth to be here in these last days to take Lucifer on, to fight against him. The other girls were not warriors, were not given abilities as warriors. When I was an angel, I learned how to fight by the archangels. Michael taught me how to fight. I was given abilities. I was known as the Queen of Fire. I had supernatural strength. I have memories of just sitting on one planet and I could throw a 1,000-pound hailstone of fire and hit another one. You look at all these planets and they're all destroyed by hailstones of fire. Yeah, I helped Father with that. The last 2 angels were the Queen of Water and the Queen of Fire. And I tell you in my one article, Angels in the Flesh Part 2, a little bit about Queen Rashael and Queen Shazarazi. And back in the day when I was in heaven with the Lord, I was Queen Shazarazi, known as Queen Shazarazi. We used to go out. People think this rebellion with Lucifer was a short-lived rebellion, and it's not true at all. Back in the day, I was very close to Haliel before he fell. So we have a long history together. He taught me how to play musical instruments. We were very close. But when he fell, he got so full of pride that he wanted to be worshipped as God. It just destroyed the dynamics of everything. You know, I've described to you before how our own solar system that we have now, these planets all had different names. You know, Earth was called Shan, and I believe Uranus was called Urantia, and all the planets had different names. And it was what you would consider, what you would call heaven. It was made of a conglomerate, a solar system of planets. And you were free to travel, free to do what you want. I've told you these were angelic civilizations, but Earth was my planet. And I was one of the ones who helped destroy it in judgment for what Lucifer did here. His own planet was blown up. I don't know which one of the girls' planets he took over. You'll read about it. Sometimes called Tiamat, was a planet that was completely blown up. I'm sure she blew it up because he was on it. But that's the Van Allen belt we have today. It's full of rocks and remnants left over. The planet he had taken over. This whole system, this whole solar system, this whole conglomerate of planets we have here now that at one time was a heavenly system that came under judgment because of Lucifer. Now, when Father restored Earth, you read in Genesis chapter 1 that he recreated, he restored. You can't recreate and restore and replenish something that didn't exist already at one time in a good state. He replenished, he restored Earth. And so it's fitting that in the last days, I would come back here to Shan to take Lucifer on. You know, I only had one thought my entire life, and that's defeating him and tearing down his strongholds. And when the Lord showed me Orgo at the time, it was such a powerful energy weapon. But I didn't realize all the destruction it would actually cause. At the time, I had no idea. But it's so fitting because if you look at it now, our Orgo war against Lucifer is melting him out of space. It's melting him. It's melting their starships, their spaceships. If you look at Orion, some of these alien constellations now, they're completely pathetic. They don't even look 50% of the stature they had 10 years ago. Because this orgone that we have, which is so fitting, is because it's heating space up. It heats them up. It melts and it burns them and it crashes them. And so this is why I'm here, to war against him. It's a war that's gone back thousands of years. Ever since he started it. When he left home, when he left the palace and decided he wanted to be God and instigated a rebellion, and that has sparked a war for thousands of years. What they tend to do is build up civilizations and then tear them down to start all over again. You build it up to tear it down. That's what they do. And right now we're on the upswing where you have the upkick of the civilization from starting from nothing where we were to now all this technology coming in. This isn't anything new. It's new to us. But that's why they found ancient artifacts in the Middle East that they couldn't explain. A lot of these mummies have watches on their hands, batteries, aircrafts. Because none of this stuff is new. They keep it away from mankind. And when they release the technology, they get their people running the corporations and the companies to profit off of it. It's all about money. When you start praying for the truth in all things, and he starts leading you into the truth, you're going to find that it conflicts with stuff that the churches have been teaching you. See, that's the biggest wake-up call for most people And why they love to hate me? Because they don't want to let go of their Paul. And when they see me standing beside the Father, they're going to realize, wow, everything she said was right. Everything she said was true. When I call him my father, it's because it's literal. I'm his youngest daughter, youngest of 14. He had 12 daughters and 2 sons. One's prodigal, one left. I've spent a lot of time learning about the things to come, trying to get people to get back to the Father, to celebrate his appointed times and feasts that he set up with mankind. He never changed that. He never stopped that. The church age wasn't built to improve on what the Father had already established. Oh, they think they were. They think the law is dead and all this stuff. Certain aspects, yes, but the times and appointed times and feasts were never stopped. Why would we be celebrating them and observing them during the millennial reign of Christ and into eternity, but not right now?
Now, just to interject to what Sherry was saying at the beginning, if you're still a churchgoer or just happen to know a minister, pastor, what have you, ask him or her, so, whatever happened to fallen angels? I mean, we know what happened and ultimately became of Lucifer, but what about those millions and perhaps billions who had fallen with him? Where did they go? I mean, they're spiritual beings, so it's not like they ever die in the sense we know concerning body death. So where did they go? Were they simply erased with the true history of mankind? Kind of like how the night of October 1st, 2017 is no longer discussed, as if it had never happened? Now, I won't get more specific than that because I'd already had a video removed for delving into that shortly thereafter. But I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And if your pastor doesn't have an answer, as will likely be the case, tell them. If you don't know, I will tell you. The fallen are everywhere, as are watchers, as reincarnated malevolent beings, generation after generation after generation. They had never gone anywhere. It's called soul scalping, and they take over the bodies of fools who are dumb enough to sign on the dotted line and believe the Father of Lies will hold up his end of the deal in order to have a physical body. That's where the reptilian cabal comes from. They, like Lucifer, were cursed with immediate, albeit partial judgment to look like reptilians, the bottom of the animal kingdom. And now they have had to find host bodies to hide their true identity ever since. Which doesn't always work, and is known to the woke folk as shape-shifting, which has become more and more noticeable as the frequency on this planet continues to change. Now, that may sound a little new age to some of you, but just know, like Lucifer, the New Age movement has taken truth and twisted it to fit their agenda because all they can do is mimic Father Yahuah and hope enough people remain asleep to keep the rouge going. So the minority woke folk are always looked at as the crazy ones who need to have their heads examined. Mind control is a very powerful tool that's been used for thousands of years. See what kind of reaction you get from your pastor then. They'll probably just brush it off like they do with the Hebrew myth known as Lilith, much less the reason they still celebrate pagan holidays like Christmas, better known as Saturnalia to the pagans, and Easter, the fertility goddess Ishtar, better known as Eve to the pagans, within the church and outside of it. Oh, right, the Torah law was done away with. It's all about saved by grace now, right, Paul? Sure it is. God bless.